Sankirtan ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kundara Kunda, Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Jamuna Devi ki, Shrimati Purnamasi Yogamaya ki, Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Premade Jai, Gopishwar Mahadev ki, New Braj Dham ki, Jagannath Baladevi Subhadra Devi Sudarshan Chakra Purushottam Dham, Tota Gopinath ki, Narashinga Bhagavan ki, Bhakta Prabhara Prahlad Maharaj ki, Anand Koti Vaishnavinda ki, Samagabhat Vinda ki, the High Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Trise Nama Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalau Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Brindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasyaja Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Stotarasata, Shri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And offering my same unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable, beloved Siksha Gurudevs. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarashata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarashata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, and my Dandavat pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and to all of the Vaishnavis. So we're continuing with Srila Prabhupada's pamphlet, introductory pamphlet. He's saying that in this age of Kali, or the age of hate, hypocrisy, corruption, and quarrel, the only remedial measure is that every man should chant the holy name of the Lord, both individually and collectively. We can frame that sentence and put it on the wall anywhere in the world, right? It's so straightforward. Only remedial measure. People don't know this yet. But all the jivas, they have some sense of connection with God, especially in their time of dire necessity. But the actual fact, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, and he has pointed out in this pamphlet, according to the Shastras, according to the great authorities, this is the only remedial measure. There is no other. So, remedial, remedy, how to cure the situation. And it will always be very foreboding like this in the age of Kali. Sometimes more, sometimes less. So, but we should understand that this is the nature of this very time period in our universal time, in the sequence of the yugas, the changing of the yugas from one to the next. So Kali Yuga is always like this. You know, mostly we used to hear that Prabhupada referred to the age of Kali as the age of quarrel. That was like the prominent adjective referring to the age of Kali as the age of quarrel. And he says that here. But in addition, the age of hate. So much hate, so much hatred is there. And what is hate? It's the opposite of love. So it means the absence of love. You know, this is one of the main themes that Srila Gurudev pointed out. Do you know that? When he first came out of India and he was in Holland. And that was one of the themes on his first tour that he used to point out again and again. He said that so much advancement has been made, you know, from the angle of scientific advancement. He mentioned transportation, that we can go from one part of the world to another in half of a 24-hour period. And he pointed out communications also, how we can communicate with anybody practically at any time on the other side of the world, anywhere that they are. And he pointed out medical advancement. He liked to say how They become so advanced that now they can replace your heart in your body with another heart. So he said, all of these advancements we have achieved. But then he said, but one thing has been lost. And that is the relationship between man and man. More and more disappear. We know that people that live in a more simple circumstances on our planet, we call third world, or, without so much material advancement, they have more feeling toward one another in their villages and so forth. But Srila Gurudev witnessed in his life, especially in India, that there was so much intimacy in the village life, and that relationship, like, the saying that it takes a village to raise a child or something like that, right? But there was this kind of feeling amongst the human beings. But Gurudev was pointing out that this really has diminished like anything. And especially in the Western countries where the so-called advancement has become prominent in the people's daily lives, They don't even know who their next door neighbor is in their apartment building, or who their next door neighbor is if they own a house, They don't interact. They're closed off. Sometimes they do, but not so much. So, in this age of Kali, or the age of hate and hypocrisy, corruption and quarrel. Corruption, that's a big one. We see, right now we are witnessing the zenith of corruption that has built up in governments and political institutions, and even on every single level of society. Corrupt. Dishonesty. Deceitfulness. Like he says here, hypocrisy, age of hypocrisy, Kali Yuga. And quarrel. That's the big one. Because even over trifling things, Prabhupada is told, even over little trifles, they make a big deal, and they quarrel, quarrel, quarrel. So, there is a solution. Srila Prabhupada is pointing it out. He's coming on this, carried by the Scindia steamship navigation company across the oceans, and now he's come to bring the solution, the only remedial measure. And what is that? Every man should chant the holy name of the Lord, both individually and collectively. It seems quite simple, but the fact is, those who have done it, those who have adopted this in their lives, they are feeling that result. That all these bad qualities are diminishing in their lives. So, on a world scale, that's what Mahaprabhu came for. That's what Nityananda Prabhu came for. They manifested their pastimes in this world to give this mercy to every single human being, none excluded. Jai Shri Shri Guru Bhagavanda, Radha Govinda Ki Jai. So then, Srila Prabhupada in this little pamphlet, he includes at this point that the glories of the holy name have been described by Sri Chaitanya in his 8 verses of Sikshastakam, which runs as follows. And we have read the first one, first verse. Now I'm going to read the other 7. O my Lord, number 2, verse number 2. O my Lord, your holy name can alone render all benediction upon the living being. And therefore you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna, Govinda, etc. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental potencies, and there is no hard and fast rules for chanting these holy names. O my Lord, you have so kindly made easy approach to you by your holy names. But, unfortunate as I am, I have no attraction for them. Number 3, the big one. What is the Sanskrit for the 3rd verse? Chanadapi sunichena, tarodapi sahishnana, amanina manadina, kirtaniya sadahari. One can chant the holy names of the Lord in an humble state of mind, thinking himself as lower than the straw on the streets, tolerant more than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and being ready to offer all kinds of respects to others. He doesn't include that last line that we know very well. Then it says, in such an humble state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. That was re-edited probably by Hayagriva. Number 4, 4th verse. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitamba jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktira hoituki tvai. O the Almighty Lord, I have no desire for accumulating wealth, nor I have any desire to enjoy beautiful woman. Neither I want any number of followers of mine. What I want only is that I may have your causeless devotional service in my life, birth after birth. Number 5. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishame bhavam budho kripaya nijapada pankaja stututuli sadrisham vichintaya. O the son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servitor, and although I am so, somehow or other, I have fallen on the ocean of birth and death. Please, therefore, pick me up from the ocean of death and fix me up as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. 6. Nayanam galadashradharaya vadanam gadgadarudhaya gira pulakair nichitam vapukada tavanama grane vishyati. O my Lord, when shall my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing incessantly by chanting your holy name? And when all the holes of hairs on my body will have eruptions by the recitation of your name? 7. Yugaitam nimeshena Chakshusha pravrishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam Govinda virahena me. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment as 12 years or more than that, and tears flowing down my cheeks like the torrents of rains. I am feeling all vacant in the world without your presence. And verse 8. Ashlashyava padaratam pinashtumam adarshanan marmahatam karotu va yata tata va vidadatu lampato matprananatastu saevana paraha. I do not know anyone except Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain as such, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or he may make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything, but he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Who is speaking in this last verse of Sikshastakam? Yes. And Mahaprabhu is expressing. So after quoting the Sikshastakam, then Srila Prabhupada says, chanting of the holy name of God is recommended for everyone, both for the mass of people and the class of people. Those who are scholars, philosophers, scientists, religionists, and educated, they may read the English version of Srimad Bhagavatam by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, with particular attention to the purports appended with each and every verse. They have appreciated the publication as follows. Now he's quoting the appreciations that he's had, but he doesn't say by who. So here's the first quote. At a time when not only the people of India, but those of the West need the chastening quality of love and truth in a corrupting atmosphere of hate and hypocrisy, a work like this will have uplifting and corrective influence. He's made bold that a work like this will have uplifting and corrective influence. What is God? He is truth. He is love. Even an atheist must accept the supremacy of those qualities and how much they are needed by the people of the world who have been taught to deny God and these qualities do not require much emphasis. So, next quote. The author has attempted a tremendous task. A perusal will give us, in the sample measure, a knowledge of the original. The essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is the exposition of the absolute truth. We would recommend this book. Next quote. The editor's vast and deep study of the subject and critical insight, they are reflected in these notes. And we have no doubt that with the publication of these volumes, the rightful interpretations of the Bhagavatam which has been the gift of Sri Chaitanya and his Goswami followers, it has now been available to the English-knowing world for the first time. Next quote. The elaborate method is very helpful to the ardent student of Bhagavatam who lack in Sanskrit language. It is admitted in all hands that Bhagavatam is the most difficult text amongst the Puranas. The author richly deserves the gratitude of the devotees for his pious, learned labor of love. Next quote. These volumes speak very highly of Swamiji's scholarship, and especially of his love of cultural pursuits. When we look into the enormous labor and sacrifice in producing them single-handed, and that too at ripe old age of 68, we earnestly pray to the Almighty that he may spare Swamiji for all the years he may require to finish the magnum opus of 60 volumes and earn the love and gratitude of his fellow men in pursuit of divine love and grace, nay, of the entire humanity. And the final quote. You have done a first-class work, and you desire the hearty commendations of every Indian. Probably was deserve. You deserve the hearty commendations of every Indian, every Hindu. Your deep and penetrating study of the subject and your philosophic insight are reflected in this book, etc., etc. It's the end of his pamphlet. Isn't that beautiful? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now, in this BBT book that is printed, Prabhupada's Jaladuta diary, comes the section at the end of the book called Reflections, Recollections by Srila Prabhupada of his journey to America. The following excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's room conversations and letters give further insights into his voyage to America and the incidents surrounding it. These selections have been obtained from the computer database, which is titled The Complete Works of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So the first is an excerpt from a room conversation with His Divine Grace in Bombay on November 7th, 1970. November 7th, 1970. 4 months after I joined. And Prabhupada's already in India, and he's going to stay there for the whole next year. So Srila Prabhupada says, so I went in USA without any sponsor. No, I ... that is the ... One gentleman sponsored for 1 month. 1 month only. Not even 1 month. I remained there only 3 weeks. Now we know. And then I chalked out my plan. He was my friend's son, and my friend wrote him that you sponsor Swamiji for 1 month. So in this room conversation, there's a guest, number 1. The guest said, some are American gentlemen? Prabhupada said, no, Indian. One gentleman from Agra. So his son immediately sent me sponsoring. But still, the government objected that, quote, we cannot allow you to go there because you are sponsored by an individual person. But I wanted to see Chief Controller of what is called Foreign Exchange, Mr. Rao. So he kindly accepted, yes, Swamiji, you can go. He fought. Guest number 2. That time, it was very difficult. Passport, I have got already. Prabhupada. Passport, visa. So there was no money with me, and in an awkward position. My philosophy is completely different. I was to ask them to cease from 4 kinds of sinful activities. And they are habituated to these things: illicit sex and drinking, wine and intoxication, and gambling. These are their daily affairs. So I was thinking, I have to stop this. Who will hear me? But Krishna, everything became. And the guest number 1 says, may I ask one thing? How you chose this America to be your first? Then Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj ordered me that you go and preach this cult amongst the English-speaking public, and especially in the Western countries. So first of all, I thought of London. Where is London? But I had no money. So I got the opportunity for going USA free on a trade ship by the Scindia Steam Navigation. They gave me their first-class cabinet, the proprietor's cabinet. I was well carried, but first of all, I went free on a steamship. I had no money, what to speak of aeroplane. So what was your question? Then the guest said, my question was that how you selected America to be your Prabhupada. Yes. So I got the opportunity to go to America because their ship goes to New York. So I accepted, all right, we can see, either go to London or New York. New York is a better place than London. Now here's an excerpt from a room conversation with His Divine Grace in Los Angeles on June 8th, 1976. June 8th, 1976. Might be the last time Prabhupada went, in 76. Last time in the...
He was in Laguna in that same month. He spent a night in Laguna.
Yeah, because like we were even talking these last few days, I think Nishchinta Didi was mentioning, because she was there, you were also there, June 8th, 1976. In 76, we were waiting in Detroit for Prabhupada to come when he came the first time to see the Fisher Mansion. So I guess he had stopped in Los Angeles first and like on the West Coast. So Srila Prabhupada says in this room conversation, so I did not say anything seriously, but perhaps he took it very seriously, Gopal's father. So he might have written to Gopal that Swami Bhaktivedanta wants to go to America. If you sponsor, then he can go. So whatever the correspondence was there between the father and son, I did not know. I simply asked him, why don't you ask your son Gopal to sponsor so that I can go there? I want to preach there. So after some months, 3-4 months, the no objection certificate from the Indian Embassy in New York came. Gopal sent it to me, yes, that he had already sponsored my arrival there for 1 month. So all of a sudden, I got the paper, no objection certificate by the Indian Embassy. After so much inquiry, I learned that so much inquiry was done, and so on, so on. And then I tried to take a passport and paper process. So I got the passport. Then I approached that Sumati Murarji. She once gave me 500 rupees in exchange of my Bhagavad book. So I approached her that, give me one ticket. They have got their shipping company, Scindia Navigation. So she said, Swamiji, you are so old. You are taking this so responsibility. Do you think it is right? No, it is all right, he laughs, telling her. At that time, I was 70 years old. So all the secretary, they thought that Swamiji is going to die there. Anyway, they gave me the ticket, one return free ticket by their ship. Then arrangement was going on. So there is another process to get a P form, you know, guessed P form? Prabhupada, P form, sanctioned by the state government. Yes, state government. So it was applied for. It was, no sanction was coming. And then I went to the State Bank of India, the officer, Mr. Bhattacharya. So he told me, Swamiji, you are sponsored by private man, so we cannot accept it. If you are invited by some institution, then we could consider. But you are invited by a private man for 1 month. And after 1 month, if you are in difficulty, and there will be so much obstacles and so on, well, I have already prepared everything to go. So I said that, what you have done? No, I have decided not to sanction your P form. No, don't do this. You better send to your superior. It should not be done like that. So he took my request and he sent the file to Chief Officer of Foreign Exchange, something like that. Anyway, he is the supreme man in the State Bank of India. So I went to see him. So I asked his secretary that you have got such file? You kindly put to Mr. such and such. His name was Mr. So the secretary agreed, and he put the file and put my slip that I wanted to see him. I was waiting. So Mr. Rao came personally. He said, Swamiji, I have passed your case. He laughs, Prabhupada. In this way, then Hari's for or Prabhupada? No, he did not know me. So somebody saw him in Bombay. So he reminded that I know Swamiji when he went to USA. Somebody was telling me. 2 days I was attacked in heart on the ship. 2 days I was attacked in heart on the ship. So hardship. Trivikram. Then you had a dream? Prabhupada. Are you sorry? What was that, Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada, that is, and he laughs. The dream was, I must come here. Are you sorry? It was some instruction that you got? Prabhupada. The dream was that Krishna, in his many forms, was bowing the row. Bowing the row. What is called? Are you sorry? Rowing the boat. Prabhupada, yes. The Trivikram, Jai, Prabhupada. And when I arrived in Boston, I wrote that poetry. Hari sorry. If you were only sponsored for 1 month, how is it that you were able to extend your visa all the time? Prabhupada, I was extending. The immigration officer came in Boston in my boat. He inquired about this. So he asked me, Sir, Swamiji, how long you want to stay? So I thought that I have no shelter, I have no money, but I have got the return ticket. So I did not know how long then he laughs. He asked me, how long you want to stay? So I thought, in these circumstances, I can stay at most 2 months. Because I have no means where to stay, how to eat, and where shall I go? So I may struggle for 2 months. So I told him, I may stay at most 2 months. He immediately, 2 months, sanctioned immediately. I could not think that I shall be able to, then he laughs. That 1 month we're there, sponsoring. So I thought, another 1 month, that's all. That this gentleman has sponsored for 1 month. So that is guaranteed. And then I can stay another 1 month, that's all. So after that, so I was staying here and there without any fixity. So I was extending the visa. Each time I was paying $10. Another 3 months, another 3 months, like that. And when 1 year was finished, they refused, no extension. Hari sorry. But by that time, you had some kind of, Prabhupada, yes. Hari sorry, organization going? Prabhupada, yes. At that time, I was at 2nd Avenue. So then Ray Rama took the help of a lawyer. He took the case that he'll give me permanent residence. So he was extending only, and each time he was taking $150. So in this way, I entered in 1965, September, up to July. Oh wait, I lost. No. So this way I entered in 1965, September, up to July. No, up to May. And in the month of May, there was heart stroke. Hari Sari. That was when? 1967? Trivikram, 66. Prabhupada, 66. Yes, 66. Yes, after 1.5 years. Hari Sari. No, that was 67 then. Prabhupada. Because the time was taken, extension. Then in 1967, in July, I thought, now the health is broken. I was very sick after heart stroke. So I thought, now I shall not exist. So let me go to Vrindavan and die there. So I came back in July 1967. So this Brahmananda and others, they were crying when I got on the boat. The heart was so weak. Pushta Krishna, you went back to India by boat? Prabhupada, no, by plane. I think, Pushta Krishna, from San Francisco? Prabhupada, At that time I got some money. 5,000 was given by Jayananda. He gave me 5,000 and Brahmananda also gave me. So I spent some money for acquiring some, I had about 6,000. So then I purchased ticket coming back with Kirtanananda to come back. With Kirtanananda. In this way, came back to India. Hari sorry, you were just saying, Prabhupada, and again, I paid 5,000 rupees to Kirtanananda to come back. Aside, what is that? Radha Ballabha. Radha Ballabha is in this conversation. Kirtiraj Prabhu bought this for your rocking chair. Prabhupada, oh, Radha Ballabha, should I put it on? Prabhupada, rock and roll. Then the devotees laughed. Hari sorry, so when did you come back again? Prabhupada, I came back in 1968. No, 67, December. Hari sorry, oh, you weren't gone long then. Trivikram, 6 months. Prabhupada, yes, July to December. Trivikram, and your health was better? Prabhupada, not very good. So many troubles. When I came back, there's always a bad sound going on, gong, 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 in my brain. Very disturbing. In this Los Angeles, I was staying in some, I forgot, Trivikram, La Cienega? Prabhupada, no, La Cienega later on. I was staying near Pico. Is that Pico? There was a, I think, Washington Boulevard, near there. I forgot that quarter. So then there's excerpt from room conversation in Vrindavan on September 9th, 1976. Prabhupada, because as soon as the ship stopped, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, the immigration department came and they took their papers. So I entered America in Boston. There was no checking in New York. The ship stopped in Boston. The official entrance was done there. And then when I came to New York, it is just like 1 day's travel. Harikesh, and then you went directly to Pennsylvania by bus? Prabhupada, yes. Then one agent appointed by my host, Gopal Agarwal, he was in Butler, so he arranged with some professional, what is called host, Harikesh, travel agent? Prabhupada, maybe travel agent. He came to see me that I am sent by Gopal Agarwal, so I'll arrange for your dispatch. You come with me. Hari Sari, Dr. Agarwal was your sponsor? Prabhupada, yes. His father came to me sometime in Agra. Agra, his father, his mother came. Hari Sari. And then they suggested that he be your sponsor? Prabhupada, it was all by chance. I was for a few days guest at his father's place in Agra. I did not know that his son is in America. So he was talking about his family, and he was little sorry that his eldest son went to America to study electric engineering, and he was entrapped by an English girl. Yeah. And he married and settled there and did not come back. In this way, so I took the opportunity that, why don't you ask your son to sponsor me? I wanted to go to America, so I did not know how seriously he took it, but I simply told him, why don't you ask your son to sponsor me at least for 1 month? So I'm thinking of going to America. And then there was talking, beginning and end, that's all. I did not know that he took it very seriously. And then after 2-3 months, some documents came. And I was receiving my letters in a postbox. So when I left Delhi, I used to keep my key of postbox with some nice bookseller, Atmaram. He was a manager. So he opened that. He got that documents. That is the no objection certificate, sponsor and everything. And I was out of Delhi. Then when I came back, I took it. So everything was there. That sheet from the Indian consulate, no objection certificate. Then I applied for a passport. In this way, I had to go. So Gopal was unknown to me, but his father was known to me. His father was, and then his agent got me on the bus. So on the bus, I went to Pennsylvania. So in this way, Prabhupada's conversation continues, and there's also, not reading now, but Sumati Morarji, there's a letter to her from Prabhupada, and then there's a letter to Hanuman Prasad Podar, who was the head of the Gita Press. Yeah. So it's got a number of things. Yeah, that's about it for this section. Okay. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhascha. Kripa sindhu Vaishnavi